World War II turned the sky into one of the most dangerous battlefields in history. Fighter pilots battled high above Europe, North Africa, and the Pacific Ocean, where speed, maneuverability, and firepower often decided who survived. Some aircraft became legends. The British Spitfire defending its homeland. Germany's deadly Messerschmitt Bf 109 dominating early campaigns. And the American P-51 Mustang escorting bombers deep into enemy territory. But these famous fighters were only part of the story. During the war, every major nation raced to build aircraft capable of controlling the skies. Each fighter reflected the strategy and engineering of the country that built it. Let's take a look at the fighter aircraft used by the major powers of World War II. And we'll start with the United States. As the war progressed, the United States developed some of the most powerful fighter aircraft of the conflict. American designs often focused on speed, firepower, and long operational range. Let's start with the P-51 Mustang, one of the most famous fighters of World War II. Fast and capable of flying long distances, the Mustang became the perfect escort fighter for Allied bombers attacking Germany. Earlier in the war, bombers flying deep into enemy territory often faced German fighters alone. But with the Mustang protecting them, the balance of air power began to shift. Next comes the P-47 Thunderbolt, one of the largest single-engine fighters of the entire war. What it lacked in agility, it made up for in durability. The aircraft could absorb heavy damage and still bring pilots safely back to base. Armed with 8.50 caliber machine guns, it also became a devastating ground attack aircraft capable of destroying vehicles, trains, and supply lines. Another unique American fighter was the P-38 Lightning. With its distinctive twin-boom design, the P-38 looked unlike any other aircraft in the sky. It served in multiple roles including interception, reconnaissance, and long-range escort missions. The aircraft also carried out one of the most famous missions of the war, the interception of Japanese Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto in 1943. Finally, there was the P-40 Warhawk, one of the fighters that carried much of the early fighting for the United States. Although it lacked the performance of later aircraft, the P-40 was rugged and reliable. It became famous with the American volunteer group known as the Flying Tigers, who used it effectively against Japanese aircraft in China. But while American fighters were becoming stronger as the war progressed, Germany had already developed some of the most dangerous aircraft of the entire conflict. Germany entered World War II with some of the most advanced fighter aircraft of the time, helping the Luftwaffe dominate the early years of the war. Let's start with the Messerschmitt Bf 109, the backbone of Germany's fighter force. Fast, agile, and heavily armed, the Bf 109 was responsible for thousands of aerial victories. Many of Germany's top fighter aces achieved their remarkable combat records flying this aircraft. Next came the Focke-Wulf Fw 190. Introduced in 1941, the aircraft quickly gained a reputation for its power and heavy firepower. When Allied pilots first encountered the Fw 190, many believed it was superior to the fighters they were flying at the time. Finally, Germany introduced something truly revolutionary, the Messerschmitt Me 262. This was the world's first operational jet fighter. Powered by jet engines instead of propellers, the Me 262 was dramatically faster than Allied aircraft. Some pilots reported seeing the jet only for a moment before it disappeared into the distance. But despite its incredible speed, it arrived too late in the war to change the outcome. But the air war was far from decided. Britain was preparing fighters that would soon defend its skies against relentless attacks. Britain relied on several important fighters to defend its homeland and support Allied operations across Europe. Let's begin with the Supermarine Spitfire, one of the most iconic aircraft of the entire war. Recognizable by its elegant elliptical wings, the Spitfire was fast, maneuverable, and extremely effective in dogfights. During the Battle of Britain in 1940, it played a crucial role in defending the United Kingdom from German air attacks. Next comes the Hawker Hurricane. Although it often receives less attention than the Spitfire, the Hurricane actually destroyed a large number of German bombers during the Battle of Britain. Its sturdy design also made it useful in ground attack roles later in the war. Finally, Britain introduced the Hawker Tempest later in the conflict. This powerful fighter became famous for intercepting German V-1 flying bombs that threatened British cities. While battles raged over Western Europe, the Eastern Front would soon see some of the largest air battles in history. The war between Germany and the Soviet Union created massive air battles across the Eastern Front. Soviet fighters were designed to be agile, simple, and effective in close-range combat. Let's start with the Yakovlev Yak-3. Lightweight and extremely maneuverable, the Yak-3 performed very well in dogfights against German aircraft, especially at lower altitudes where many battles took place. Next came the Yakovlev Yak-9, one of the most widely produced Soviet fighters of the war. Its flexible design allowed it to carry different weapons depending on the mission, making it useful in both air combat and ground attack operations. Another important Soviet fighter was the Lavochkin La-5. Powered by a strong radial engine, the La-5 offered improved speed and performance compared to earlier Soviet designs. Meanwhile, across the vast Pacific Ocean, a very different kind of fighter aircraft dominated the skies. Japanese fighters were designed with a strong emphasis on maneuverability and long range. Let's begin with the Mitsubishi A6M0, one of the most recognizable fighters of the entire war. Early in the conflict, the Zero dominated many air battles across the Pacific thanks to its incredible agility. Allied pilots quickly learned that engaging the Zero in turning dogfights could be extremely dangerous. However, the aircraft lacked heavy armor, which became a serious weakness as newer Allied fighters entered the war. Another widely used Japanese fighter was the Nijima Ki-43, known to Allied forces as the Oscar. Like the Zero, it emphasized maneuverability and agility and proved effective during the early years of the war. Italy also produced capable fighter aircraft that saw action primarily in the Mediterranean theater. The most notable was the Macchi C.202 Folgore. Powered by a German-designed engine, the Folgore combined strong speed with excellent maneuverability. It proved capable of competing with Allied fighters in the skies over North Africa and the Mediterranean. World War II pushed aviation technology forward faster than ever before. Nations raced to build faster, stronger, and more capable fighters in the struggle for control of the skies. From the legendary Spitfire and Mustang to the revolutionary jet-powered Me-262, these aircraft shaped the air war and influenced fighter design for decades to come. But among all these machines, one question remains. Which World War II fighter do you think truly dominated the skies? Let us know in the comments.